Okay, we have here today Nabil. How are you, Nabil?
I'm all good. Thank you so much, Tom, for having me on the show.
That's it. You're more than welcome. So we don't know each other as per usual with these episodes. So I'm very interested to hear your journey, your story so far, where you're moving into. So without me rambling on any further, introduce yourself.
Great. Thank you so much, Tom, for having me on the show first. So, a bit about myself. Well, it's a tough question again because I think as a person, there's been a lot of journey on my side which I've actually grown into. But if I have to like put myself into a nutshell, I would say that I'm more like a silent innovator. I like to connect the dots between technology and to people and with people in the way how it can actually help them. Um, so by profession, I'm a technical business analyst with one of the leading e-com agencies here in Australia. And what really drives me is to kind of constantly try to solve problems and figuring out how technology can be best made use for the betterment of others. Uh, I mean, yeah, that's largely about me in terms of what I do and what I believe in. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's be mindful of the audience because not everyone's going to know what a technical analyst is. Now, we're well aware that technology is advancing at such a fast pace now that it cannot be ignored at all, and there's no debate over that. But we still have plenty of technophobes and lots of cynicism about the pace that it's going. So maybe if we could, we understand you join the dots between people and technology. So can you elaborate and explain this for people listening?
Right. So when I say connecting the dots between the people and technology that's there, so like you rightly said, technology is moving at an extremely fast pace. Like we started really small back in the day in terms of uh, the basic internet. So internet was just there. You were able to browse. You were able to actually see what's happening in there. Obviously, there's a lot more innovation that was there behind it to get the internet into place. But let's fast move forward our lives to like 20, 25, 30 years down the line, ever since internet has been there in place. And now it's the age of AI. It's the age of machine learning, large language models. While all these terms might look extremely heavy, a lot of people might look at it and, oh, what exactly is it? So to make matters things simple, right? It's all about how can I actually use uh, the complex of technologies that's out there in the market to make it simple for people out there. So like anyone who is not too tech savvy, I find uh, my I basically want to kind of make their lives easier by ensuring that they have the right technology with them to get their basic stuff done, so that they don't be scared of it, rather they embrace it and they know that what exactly can be done to kind of so if there's anything that they find difficult, I find it myself to kind of solve the problem for them so that they don't find it difficult and get it simple. I'm just putting that in like an absolute layman's term out there.
Yeah, no, I like that. So it reminds me when the first iPhone came out, and it confused people because it had one button.
Right. Yeah.
But- so we've come from the world of Blackberries and Nokias. We've got buttons with multiple functions, and so the smarter it gets, the more options it needs. And we've got the new smartest phone ever, and it's got one button. How can this work? And it's exactly talking to what you're talking about is the advancement happened to have the complexities behind the screen, so the simplicities at the front.
Right. That's right. So, like you said, iPhone is a perfect example, right? So when the iPhone was initially launched, it did create a lot of stir for people when they saw that and they're like, hey, what am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to touch the screen and move ahead? Like, what happens when I touch the screen? So all these were curious questions that a lot of those users had, including myself, right? Because when I saw the iPhone first time, like I'm so used to actually using phones that had keypads in them. And suddenly the keypads are all gone. Touchscreen phones are actually the new thing. But that's where the beauty of technology comes into place. It's not something that's forcing you to actually pick on it, but it's rather allowing you to take things slow and then eventually get adapted to it and then make it a part of your life. Now, uh, it, obviously there are a lot of contrary beliefs in that. Like some of them feel that too much tech is not good, but some of them feel that hey, everything needs to be kind of so. Right now, personally for me as well, I try to make it a point that I'm actually using the best of technology so that we can actually focus on the much more important things that are there. Like a lot of things can be automated, get it done smartly and get it done fastly. And that's what I actually want to kind of put myself into and then get it sorted.
Okay, so I'm going to challenge this then. So we're talking a little bit idealistic here. Okay,
Right.
so the more things that are done for us, the more time we have for ourselves. I haven't seen that. Yeah, I've seen us. Well, I know, for example, it's a bit facetious. When I listen to Dolly Parton talking about 9 till 5, okay, and that's full time, hard yakka, okay. Um, for me, that's part time hours. But it shows how the generations shifted, and we're working now outside of hours essentially, you know. So I think the time to be spent on non-work related products items, should I say, I'm rambling a bit, is shorter despite the technology advances.
Well, like I said, there's going to be like a for and against on this point as well. So when I say automating and making things easier, so a lot of time what I feel is that organizations as of today, when they take newer technologies and when they start working on it, their primal focus is to make sure that how can I automate and work on the most nominal tasks that are there. Say, for example, so I come from a background where I was previously working with an organization that was working heavily on automating customer experience related workflows. So my job there was to kind of understand, okay, what are the customer pain points that we have and see how we can automate that and then get things done through it. So, and what eventually did happen was because I was able to put that onto an automation stuff, I was able to focus more on the strategic initiatives that need to be actually focused on from improving the user experiences that are there. And then that eventually gave me some time to actually also focus on my personal self because I was able to kind of put myself to understand, okay, these are the areas that I need to get myself upskilled, the work on these relevant areas and bring myself up to the game. So when I say that technology can actually help in automating a lot of stuff and then give you some time to work on effective management of the other issues. That's what I was trying to say. And eventually, I mean, at least for myself, I was able to kind of automate a lot of stuff in the way how I actually look at things. And it could be the basic of things. Say, for example, that I want to set up reminders in terms of, okay, what are the different tasks that you need to do for the day? Do have a Google Calendar for it. But I figured out a way that I can actually do it through GPT right now. And now it makes it much more easier. I don't need to open the Google Calendar for me or anything. I know that okay, these are the things that I need to be doing. And I'm talking about this from a personal point because I am someone who actually do a lot of tasks. So I keep these tasks with me. And then I've just created like a, a GPT based bot that tells me, okay, these are the tasks that you need to do, these are the stuff that you need to be focusing on. So it works. But like I said, it might not work for everyone. Not
Right.
everyone might be too used to that. So like some of them prefer that traditional way of actually getting this information right from the like they want to see the information and then work on it. So it's a very sensitive topic, I would say. There are different viewpoints around it. And like I said at the beginning of this conversation as well, right? My job is to primarily kind of make it a point that, hey, you don't have to take it all for yourself, but give it a shot and see how it actually works. There are things that you can actually make things better out of it, and then eventually it can help you in settling things down slowly. But don't take it all of it at once,
Mhm.
but you can definitely take it in a slow and paced manner out there.
I like I like we've got a bit of a counterbalance here, so I'm going to keep doing this because I just want to pick your brains on this, I suppose. But when I speak to business owners, which is often,
Hmm.
okay, and we talk about the LLM, ChatGPT, etc., okay, and how they're embracing it. They accept, for example, their staff are using these tools to make their life better. Um, and I talk about this, but I also talk about other initiatives they do, whether it be their like CRM or whatever APIs they've got, okay, which they consider for efficiency, which is what you're talking about. And efficiency is only measured by outcomes,
That's
okay?
right. Yeah.
All right. So what actually happens if we understand that, then there's the value for the business. Then make a decision. So that's more efficient. Yes, we like that. Okay. So what happens is, yes, you made the employees more efficient, but that means we want more outcomes. Okay.
Sure.
So, for example, if you're writing job descriptions on ChatGPT and it usually takes you half an hour and it comes out in 5 minutes, well, I'm going to expect 10 every half hour, you know. So the outcomes are shifted. So the work doesn't change. It's just the output from via the change in efficiency. Okay. So essentially, on that basis, it means there's no benefit to the employee, but a lot of benefit to business.
Right. I would say yes, there is. I mean, uh, so at the end of it, the output that's actually coming out, it's a benefit for both, like I would say both the parties in there. So initially, an employee was taking, let's say, uh, an hour or 45 minutes to actually do a task. But with the right set of tools and with the right set of innovation that can actually be put into place, they can reduce that number of time and get more done out of it. So it's basically this philosophy, like get more done with less,
Mhm.
right? So uh, I, for one, believe the fact that if we are able to kind of get these, like not all tools are perfect, right? For example, even if you put something on ChatGPT as of today, you might not get the desired output in one, like immediately. It's all dependent on how you're actually prompting it. It's all dependent on the input that you're actually providing. Like, so let's take your example itself for a job description that's there. So if I write a job description and if I tell that, hey, I want a job description for this position that is there. Now, GPT is a model that actually keeps learning every single day. So it's going to do its work based on whatever that it has learned. But you might not get the actual description, right? So you might not get it in the best possible way that's there. So you need to keep prompting it. Now, eventually, when you keep prompting it, you're going to get the final output. So definitely the time that's there to kind of execute that would be lesser and you might eventually get more. But it's going to be beneficial for you because at the end of the day, you are basically delivering more at a shorter span of time. So initially, if you had a target of, let's say on a daily basis, I have to frame 10 or 12 job descriptions. I'm just giving like a very hypothetical number in here. Uh, Now, with the right set of tools, you're able to do that at a 2x or a 3x. You're increasing your productivity based on that. So, in a way, it's benefiting you as an individual because you're able to increase your productivity. And it's actually helping the org as well because you're able to kind of reach multiple. Um, in this perfect in this example of job description itself, you're able to kind of reach multiple people out there. Now, again, if I have to take a step back and look at it, and then like I can take it from a different angle as well. If I look at it myself, I've actually reduced the time of getting these descriptions in place, giving me some more time to actually focus on any other initiative that might come in or any other strategic stuff that I need to be working on. Now that again depends on how organizations are actually making use of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's
So
basically on that front.
I think my point to this, so you're absolutely right. You're getting more done with less, okay, and that's half the equation. But the thing is, business owners are aware of this, so they also want more done with less. Okay,
Right.
so for example, you can now do those 10 job descriptions in a quarter of the time. Well,
Mhm.
they want 4 times of the output. So the expectation's higher because they
Right.
know what the tools that they've given you or they allow you to use. So it then counterbalances the equation and means there's no difference then because the expectations grow, you know. But that
Right.
is what business owners are doing. So when I speak to business owners, yeah, that's brilliant. They can write an article there. You should take them half a day. They can do it in the morning for the coffee because it's there and sit and then I want more now because I know they can do that. So it doesn't really benefit me in that sense. But I've got another cynical question for you as well. So we're going to keep going back in time for this.
Right.
So we got the calculator, the pocket calculator specifically. Okay, it's going back. Um, kids at school, they used to learn maths where you write on a piece of paper, you can use your thinking. Okay. Now, even in my generation, the pocket calculator came out, and you don't need to do that anymore. You just press the buttons.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, there's still thinking that needs to have to do that, but you're not doing what you needed to do. So yes, it's you get more from less. Okay,
Right.
but you've lost the skill. Okay,
Yep.
I'm gonna partially lost the skill, dumbed it down a notch. And I can also add this in another experience, just to put this out there: spell check. Okay,
Yep.
as we type. Okay, I'm dyslexic, so I make so many errors anyway.
No.
But I've now got lazy, whereas I used to, because it's already correcting it. If I read it back and I haven't checked it, it's all over the place. So my spelling's got worse and my typing's got lazy because I know it's going to correct it for me anyway. So when I go to handwrite, I'm like, oh, this is hard, you know. So the skills are waning a little bit there as well. What's your thoughts on not necessarily on those two examples, but where we're handing over the task elsewhere and maybe losing that skill ourselves?
Okay. So I have a different viewpoint in here as well in terms of the way. So, like personally, ever since I've started using a lot of these technologies in there, uh, I had this fear in me that okay, what if I might eventually lose the skill that that I actually have? So I come from a background where so I'm a computer engineer by my educational background, and I had like a very different uh, multiple set of careers. Apart from doing computer engineering, there were a lot of other set of careers that I had actually done. So in those jobs that I was actually working, I was acquiring a new skill because I was learning it on the job. Right now, if I have to kind of tie that back into the current situation that is there, for me, even while I'm using these technology, I'm learning something new. Like say for example, if I am actually asked, so I'm actually asking a question related to how can I actually make this particular system or this particular architecture that's there much more efficient or much more optimized. So GPT or any other tools that are there, it doesn't give me like a complete full-fledged solution. It's going to give me half baked answers anyways. like like I said, it's all about the prompt how you give it. So once it gives me that once it gives me that information, I do myself a lot of research into that. I go deeper into it because I know for a fact that I always go by the disclaimer which all the LLMs and all the GPT models that actually say that we are not accurate. Please do check the information before actually consuming it, right? So I keep doing a lot of research in there, and I have myself learned a lot during this particular period by actually using this. Now, like I said, it might not be the same with a lot of others. Like I know someone who is completely dependent on ever since they've started using GPT or any other AI models that's there, they've been completely so equipped to it that for even writing a simple email or even writing a simple message, they use GPT in there. So I asked this person, like, hey, aren't you trusting your own self to actually write it? It's like you're having a conversation with your friend. Why are you using GPT to actually type the message in there? You don't need that, right? So it's again that right balance. Like what are you using it for? So if you're using it and if you're going to use it, make it a point that you're also learning with it, right? Because there are things that it can actually tell you that this is like there's a solution for this problem and this is the solution for it, but you need to also be aware of the fact that it might not be the perfect solution, so you will have to do your research in there. So even uh, I just recently read in an article that uh, Australia has the second highest number of users of chat gpt, or on the first, they're in the top 10. And a lot of people were saying that students are actually using chat gpt the most to do their research articles. They're doing a lot of it to write research papers. And but that's where I have a fundamental problem, right? So you need to get your research done. You can use that for ChatGPT, but you're going to write papers and write articles and write blogs without that research background in it. At the end of it, you're just so. I mean, I would say that openly. You need to give the credit to GPT for getting you those grades. That's not how it works, right? So you need to kind of have that right balance in it. So I'm I'm weighing my options in here, and I would say that there are certain skills that you can acquire by actually working with the technology, or you can choose that to keep that learning away and depend completely on it. And I'm against that particular logic. Like, I don't want my entire thing to be dominated or controlled by it, but I want to make the best use of it and see how I can actually help the end users out there.
And I agree with where you're saying that you've got the option to continuously learn, and technology is definitely providing that. There's lots that you know that I do not, so there is expert knowledge there as well. So the way I'm sort of hedging my bets a little bit with this is learning and the skills acquisition that we need has changed, and there's
Right.
actually an element of skills which are slowly but surely becoming obsolete.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Would say that.
so, people don't do maths on paper anymore. They do. They're different generations, and occasionally, but it's the calculator, even the calculator on your phone does it. It's done for you. You know, fast forward 50 years, that's gone. You know,
Yeah.
so there seems to be an evolution, and there's um, uh, a victim of it would be the old skills. They'll pass on.
Right. So, Tom, when you just mentioned about the fact, so I just want to, point out this point on the fact that skills become obsolete, right? Well, over a period of time, uh, so even when AI models started getting evolving over a period in time, there was uh, there was a platform that came onto the market called Devin AI. I don't know how many of them would have heard it, but at least the software engineers on this podcast would have definitely heard that. So Devin AI claimed to actually do the job of a software engineer, right? It put a big question mark on a lot of people out there telling, hey, so are you saying that software engineers are going to go obsolete? So whatever we learned in terms of coding is no longer going to be in use. And that's where the problem happens. So Devin AI claimed itself to be like the world's first AI software engineer, but Devin AI had its own flaws. They were not able to kind of get the code in the right way. You still need that person or a software engineer to actually do that job in there. It might be able to streamline or maybe tell you where you're going and wrong. But can you actually give like an entire code base to it and start working on it? It's going to make its own mistakes. So the human element would still remain in the AI world, is what I keep telling like any of these business owners who have actually reached out to me as well. I make it a point to them telling that you might think that skills are obsolete, but at the end of the day, you still need a human to teach the machine what it needs to do. And machines
Absolutely.
are not going to be 100% accurate as well at the end of the day.
I think that's a good example that you brought up to erase any obsoleteness. But there's two things we probably need to remember. This was firstly, that's first in best dress. It's an attempt that's come in and didn't tick the box. If we fast forward 50 years, they're going to master that, and it would become obsolete. So we're talking over time, not the first attempt at AI, the first attempt at machine learning, the first attempt at calculus or whatever. It gets mastered over time. So that will move. And I've forgotten my second point. So my memory's obsolete. So listen, before we wrap up, what got you into this field? Where was your interest?
Okay, that's a really interesting question. So, uh, I started my career as I was basically more of an operations person. I'd always been working on the operations side, uh, but in my previous org, I was able to kind of make my way into the technology side. Although I wouldn't say that I was completely working with technology, but it has always enticed me. I've always been fascinated by the fact that, hey, there's something happening in there, and it's something that you can keep learning. And I can proudly say that the knowledge that I've actually acquired is all through my personal experiences of actually working on a lot of technical stacks out there. And ever since I started finding that passion of technology within various jobs that I was doing, kept learning more and more, got more intrigued to it, started working more on it, and then eventually I decided to kind of base my my entire career onto that. So, what really excites me is the fact that there's a lot of untapped and hidden elements inside technology that is still yet to be unearthed. And I feel that if I'm able to put myself into that place, I can actually connect this and make it bring it out to be better for people out there. And like I said, it's what I've always wanted to do, and that kind of eventually landed me into a more technical aspect of roles that are there. And yeah, like I said, it's a continuous process. I keep learning every single day, and I feel that it's here to stay, and I want to take that forward as well.
Yeah, good. So you're in that position where you love what you do, which isn't as common as what people realise. And people need to keep a roof over their head. So many people worldwide will do whatever they need to do to do that. It doesn't necessarily mean they love what they do. So good on you. And I've just remembered my point, which I forgot previously, is when you said that humans create it. It's down to the information and the intel that the human puts into it is what we create. But that same thing applies to spell check, to the calculator, to all these things. Everything we've done, but eventually it still does what it does, and obviously machine learning, especially. It hits a point where it has this fake consciousness, and that it's moving that way. In many respects, I think we can already acknowledge it's smarter than us. It can do a lot that we cannot. As simple as that. So it is exciting. Okay. One last question before we wrap up. Anybody that's interested in getting into your sort of profession and then want to know if it's right for them, so they can also be in a position like you where they love what they do, what would be your advice to those people?
Well, it's all about the will and skill that you want to actually kind of acquire. So if you really are passionate about something, I'll just follow Phil Knight's words, just do it. Right. So if you are really passionate about technology, there are a lot of elements out there, a lot of papers, a lot of articles out there. Get that research done and start. You don't have to be like, see, I would not say that I'm 100% technology oriented person. I still don't know a lot of things that are out there. And that's the beauty of it, because I keep learning every single day and then eventually move forward. So anyone who is out there who wants to actually get into this sort of a role, which is more technical oriented, and they want to kind of make a mark on their career, just go ahead and do it. Don't hold yourself back, because there's a lot of potential in it. And it's not just technology, it's any role that you're actually looking for. Don't stop believing in it, and just go ahead with your gut feel and do it. It's definitely going to help you in the long run. It's all about a trial and error method. You win, you lose, but you're learning in the process. So continue learning and keep giving to the community where you are in. I think you can eventually reach where you want.
Love it. And anybody listening to this wants to have a conversation with you about anything that you've touched on, what would be the best way for them to make contact with you?
Oh yeah, I'm available on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's NABEEL Abdul Lateef. You can find me there. Always happy to have a conversation with anyone who is willing to get into this.
Love it. Brilliant. Well, I've enjoyed that conversation. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tom. It was really nice having you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching this episode. I hope that you did enjoy it, had lots of takeaways from it. As before, please subscribe below so you can keep on top of any new releases we have. And also, if you would like to have your story told, just reach out with me and I'd love to give you that platform. My best email address is tom@purplepatchconsulting.com. Thank you.